I spent Christmas Eve alone at a diner in Seattle, watching families through the window while picking at a slice of pie I couldn't taste. The waitress kept refilling my coffee with this look on her face, like she was trying not to pity me. I didn't blame her. I probably looked exactly like what I was, a man, with nowhere to go on the loneliest night of the year. 3 days earlier, my son Michael had called, not to wish me happy holidays, not to ask how I was doing. He called to tell me I wasn't welcome at his house for Christmas. "Dad, listen," he'd said, his voice tight. "Jennifer's family is coming this year. Her parents, her sister, the whole crew. The house is going to be packed. And honestly, it would just be awkward. You understand, right?" I didn't understand. I'd spent the last 18 Christmases at Michael's house. I'd watched my grandson take his first steps in that living room. I'd helped paint the nursery when they were expecting, but I said what he wanted me to say. "Sure, son. I understand. Great. We'll catch up after the holidays. Maybe grab lunch or something. On time to nest over." And part of him. That was it. 42 seconds. I know because I stared at my phone afterward, watching the call timer fade from the screen. My daughter Amy lives in Boston with her husband and their 2 kids. She'd invited me, actually. Called 2 weeks before Christmas, all excited about this new prime rib recipe she wanted to try. But I'd already bought a plane ticket to Seattle. I'd already told Michael I was coming. I'd already imagined my grandson's face when he opened the vintage train set I'd found at an antique shop. So I told Amy I had plans. I heard the disappointment in her voice, but she didn't push. She never does. "Okay, Dad. But you're coming for Easter, right?" No excuses. I should have changed my ticket. Should have swallowed my pride and called her back. But I didn't. Instead, I spent Christmas Eve at Rosie's Diner on Pine Street, sitting in a booth that smelled like old coffee and broken promises. The diner was nearly empty. Just me, a couple arguing quietly in the corner, and an old man at the counter reading a newspaper from 3 days ago. The decorations looked tired plastic garland drooping from the ceiling, a small tree in the corner with lights that blinked out of rhythm. I was about to ask for the check when someone slid into the booth across from me. "Excuse me," the woman said. She was maybe 50, with kind eyes and a smile that looked genuine. "I'm sorry to bother you, but I couldn't help but notice you're alone. My family's having dinner at my place. It's just a few blocks from here, and we always make way too much food. Would you like to join us?" I stared at her. People don't do this. They don't invite random strangers to Christmas dinner. "I appreciate it, but I'm fine." "Really? I'm Helen," she said, extending her hand. "And you don't look fine. You look like someone who's supposed to be somewhere else." Something about the way she said it, not judgmental, just honest, made me crack. "I was supposed to be at my son's house. Change of plans." She nodded like she understood everything I wasn't saying. "Well, you're supposed to be at my house now. My husband Robert is probably burning the turkey as we speak, and my kids will talk your ear off about whatever video game they're into this week. It won't be fancy, but you won't be alone." I should have said no. Should have gone back to my hotel room and called it a night. But something about Helen reminded me of my late wife, the way she looked at people like they mattered, like their pain was worth acknowledging. "Okay," I heard myself say. "Thank you." Helen's house was warm and chaotic in the best way. Her husband Robert was indeed struggling with the turkey, cursing quietly in the kitchen while their 2 teenage kids, Lucas and Sophie, set the table. Helen's mother, Margaret, sat in an armchair by the fireplace, knitting something that might have been a scarf. "Everyone." This is Helen paused, realizing she didn't know my name. "James," I said. "James is joining us for dinner," Helen announced, like it was the most natural thing in the world. Robert wiped his hands on his apron and shook mine. "Hope you like turkey on the dry side. I may have miscalculated." "I'm sure it'll be perfect," I lied. Lucas, who couldn't have been more than 16, asked what I did for a living. I told him I'd recently retired from engineering. Sophie wanted to know if I had grandkids. I told her about my grandson, Tommy, 6 years old, obsessed with dinosaurs. "Does he live here in Seattle?" Margaret asked. "He does. Just across town, I saw Helen and Robert exchange a glance, but they didn't ask why I wasn't with him. They just pulled out a chair and made room for me at their table. Dinner was loud. Lucas and Sophie argued about who got the last roll. Robert told terrible dad jokes that made everyone groan. Margaret shared stories about Christmases during the Depression. Helen kept making sure everyone's glass was full, her laughter punctuating every conversation. I hadn't felt this welcome in years. Around 9 o'clock, as we were cleaning up, Helen asked if I had plans for the following week. We usually do a New Year's Day brunch. Nothing fancy, just family. You should come. I don't want to impose. James. She put her hand on my arm. You're not imposing. We'd love to have you. I went to that brunch. And then to a dinner the following week. Then to Lucas's basketball game. Before I knew it, I was spending every Sunday at Helen's house, helping Robert with his woodworking projects in the garage, or playing board games with the kids. They became the family I didn't know I needed. Meanwhile, Michael called 3 times over the next 6 months. Each time, he needed something. The first call came in February. Dad, hey, listen, I'm in a bit of a bind. The transmission on Jennifer's car just died, and the repair shop is quoting me $4,000. I know it's a lot to ask, but could you spot me the money? I'll pay you back in a couple months. I'd heard this before. Michael made good money as a software engineer, but he and Jennifer lived beyond their means. The big house, the new cars every few years, the private school for Tommy, but he was my son. So I sent the money. He didn't call to say thank you. I got a text 2 days later. Got it. Thanks. The second call came in May. Dad, I need your help again. Jennifer's sister is getting married, and we're supposed to contribute to the wedding costs. They're asking for $8,000 from each family member. I'm tapped out. Can you cover it? $8,000 for someone else's wedding. I wanted to say no. I wanted to ask why he couldn't budget better, why he always came to me when he was in trouble. But I remembered Helen telling me about how she'd helped her own son through a rough patch, how family helps family. So I sent the money. This time, no text. Nothing. The third call came in August. I was at Helen's house, helping her plant tomatoes in the backyard, when my phone rang. Dad, I need $12,000. No, hello. No, how are you? Just the demand. 12,000? Michael, what's going on? Jennifer and I are looking at investment properties. There's this great deal, but we need to move fast. I just need it for a few weeks, then I'll pay you back with interest. I stood there in Helen's garden, dirt under my fingernails, the sun warm on my face, and something inside me shifted. No, I said. Silence on the other end. Then, what? I said no. I'm not giving you $12,000 for an investment property when you haven't paid me back for the last 2 times I've helped you. Dad, come on. Don't be like this. It's a great opportunity. I'm sure it is. But my answer is no. He hung up without another word. I didn't hear from him for 3 months. Not on my birthday in September. Not on Thanksgiving. When I spent the day at Helen's house, carving the turkey while Robert told everyone about the fishing trip he and I were planning. Then, in early November, my phone rang. It was Amy. Dad, I have something to tell you. She sounded excited. Brian proposed. We're getting married on December 20th, and I want you to walk me down the aisle. My daughter. Getting married. I felt tears prick my eyes. Amy, sweetheart. Of course. I wouldn't miss it for the world. There's something else, she said. I've been meaning to ask, are you okay? You seem different lately. Happier. I looked around Helen's living room, where I'd been helping Sophie with her college essay. I am happier. I'll tell you all about it when I see you. I can't wait. Oh, and Dad? I'm inviting Michael and his family too. I know things have been weird between you two, but it's my wedding. I want everyone there. That's your choice, sweetheart. I'll be there regardless. The wedding was beautiful. Amy looked radiant in her dress, and watching her marry Brian, a good man who clearly adored her, was one of the proudest moments of my life. The reception was at a small vineyard outside Boston. I was sitting at a table with Helen, Robert, and their family, yes, I'd invited them, and they'd flown out to celebrate with me when I saw Michael approaching. He looked shocked. Dad? Who are these people? Michael. This is Helen, Robert, Lucas, Sophie, and Margaret. They're my family. Your family? He laughed, but it sounded forced. Dad, what are you talking about? I'm your family. Helen started to excuse herself, but I put my hand on her arm. Stay, please. I turned to Michael. You're my son. That's biology. But family is about more than blood. It's about showing up. It's about caring when things are hard, not just when you need something. Is this because I asked you for money? Dad, I was going to pay you back. Were you? Because I never heard from you after the first 2 times. No, thank you. No, how are you doing? Nothing. Until you needed more. Jennifer appeared beside Michael, looking uncomfortable. Maybe we should talk about this somewhere private. No, I said. We're done talking. I spent last Christmas alone in a diner because you told me I wasn't welcome. Do you know who found me there? Helen, a complete stranger who saw someone hurting and decided to do something about it. She invited me into her home, into her life. She never asked me for anything. She just wanted to make sure I wasn't alone. Michael's face was red. So, you replaced us? With strangers? I didn't replace anyone. I found people who actually wanted me around. Not my wallet. Me. Tommy appeared then, tugging on Michael's sleeve. Daddy, who's that grandpa? Michael looked at me, then at his son. That's your other grandpa, James. Hi, Grandpa James. Tommy waved. I waved back, my heart breaking a little. Hi, Tommy. Do you want to see my dinosaur book? It's in the car. Before I could answer, Michael pulled him back. Not now, buddy. We need to go, but I want to show Grandpa. I said not now. They left. Jennifer gave me an apologetic look over her shoulder, but she followed Michael out. Amy found me a few minutes later. Dad, are you okay? Michael seemed upset. I'm fine, sweetheart. Today's about you and Brian. Don't worry about me. She hugged me tight. I love you, Dad. And I'm glad you have Helen and her family. You seem really happy with them. I am. Later that night, after the dancing and the cake and the toasts, Helen found me standing outside, looking at the stars. You handled that well, she said. Did I? I feel like I just burned a bridge with my son. Maybe. Or maybe you just set a boundary. Sometimes people need to lose something before they realize what they had. What if he never realizes it? Helen was quiet for a moment. Then you'll know you tried, and you'll still have people who love you. Not because they have to, not because you're useful, but because they choose to. 6 months have passed since the wedding. I still haven't heard from Michael. Sometimes I think about calling him, about reaching out one more time. But then I remember that phone call on Christmas Eve, the way he dismissed me like I was an inconvenience. I remember the months of silence, broken only by requests for money. I spend my Sundays with Helen's family now. Robert and I finished building a bookshelf for Margaret. Lucas is teaching me how to play video games, though I'm terrible at it. Sophie's applying to colleges, and I've been helping her edit her essays. Last week, Tommy's school had a Grandparents' Day event. I saw the photos on Michael's social media. He'd invited Jennifer's parents. There was one picture of Tommy holding a sign that said, "My grandparents are the best," standing between Jennifer's mom and dad. It hurt. I won't pretend it didn't. But that evening, I went to Helen's house for dinner. Lucas had just gotten his driver's license and wanted to show me. Sophie made me try her new cookie recipe. Robert told me about this vintage car he wanted to restore. And did I want to help? And I realized something. I'd spent so many years trying to earn Michael's love, trying to be the father he needed, trying to fix every problem with money because that was the only thing he seemed to want from me. But I didn't have to earn Helen's love. Or Robert's. Or the kids. They just gave it freely, the way families should. That night, as I was leaving, Helen walked me to my car. You know what I admire about you, James? What's that? You had the courage to walk away from people who made you feel small. That takes strength. Sometimes it doesn't feel like strength. Sometimes it feels like failure. It's not. You didn't fail, Michael. He failed you. And one day, he might realize that. But until then, you have people who see your worth. Don't forget that. I think about her words often. About worth. About choice. About what it means to be family. Michael may be my son by blood, but Helen and her family are my family by choice. And I've learned that the family you choose is sometimes stronger than the family you're born into. I don't know if Michael and I will ever repair our relationship. I don't know if he'll ever understand why I walked away, why I chose to invest my time and energy in people who actually wanted me around. But I do know this. I spent Christmas Eve alone in a diner last year, convinced that I had nothing left. And then a stranger saw me. Really saw me. Not as a wallet or an obligation, but as a person worth knowing. That night changed everything. Sometimes the family you need isn't the family you started with. Sometimes it's the family that finds you when you're at your lowest and says, you don't have to be alone anymore. And sometimes, the greatest act of love is knowing when to let go of people who only love what you can give them and embrace the people who love you for who you are. I learned that lesson the hard way, but I learned it. And now, when people ask me about my family, I talk about Helen's legendary pot roast, about Robert's terrible puns, about watching Lucas play basketball and helping Sophie prepare for college, about Margaret's stories and her endless knitting projects. I talk about the people who chose me, because at the end of the day, that's what family really is. Not obligation, not biology, but choice. And I finally chose people who chose me back.